of MarketWatch's Business Award, Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk.
Man, there's a lot of room on this stage. I can do some crazy stuff. Thank you so much for having me here today. I really wanted to be here today. Today, actually, a year ago, was marked out on my calendar as sit at home, don't travel, don't do anything. This is the most important day of the year in 2011. Don't book anything. I didn't execute that. How many people in this audience knew who Joe Theismann was before he came out? Raise your hand. Excellent. How many of you know who I am? Raise your hand. Oh, you do. Nice t-shirt. That hurts the ego, but explains everything and excites me. And by the way, the reason I decided to do this talk on the day that was most important to me, the day that my new book comes out, the one that I think will create a lot of legacy for me, is because I felt that this crowd would not know who I was, and more importantly, I thought that my message could be extremely important. So, knowing that most people weren't going to know who I am, I decided to start with my backstory. I'll give a couple minutes of that, and then we'll get into what the thank you economy is and how it affects your business. I was born in Belarus, in the former Soviet Union, and my family immigrated here when I was 3 years old. It was very difficult. We were extremely poor. As a matter of fact, this stage is dramatically bigger than the studio apartment that me and my grandparents, parents, and great-grandparents lived in. It was difficult, mainly because great-grandma was kind of crazy, but also because we had no cash, we didn't speak the language, grandma got mugged a weekend, and Queens, New York was not the paved streets of gold that my Russian parents thought it was going to be. It was the late 70s, it was the Carter years. My dad was a construction worker in Russia. That's what he thought he was going to do in the US, but clearly that wasn't going to happen. The great uncle that was going to kind of take care of us, my dad's great uncle, while we were in Italy getting our visas changed, because I don't know if you remember, but Russia and America weren't best friends back then, so it took a while to get here. They wanted to make sure I wasn't a spy. He died, so that didn't work out for anybody. And we came to the US and it was a struggle. This great uncle of my dad's was very well off, and he owned a small liquor store in New Jersey. So that's pretty much what my dad did. He commuted from Queens, New York to Clark, New Jersey. I still make fun of him because I'm convinced that he spent more on gas than he was getting paid. And he started our lives for us. And between my dad's hard work, and I didn't know my dad until I was 14, and we'll get to that in a minute, and the fact that my mom, how do I put this smartly, is the greatest human being of all time, and instilled so much, thank you, and instilled so much self-confidence in me that it should probably be illegal, and is clearly the foundation of everything I'm going to achieve in my life. We started our lives. We moved to Edison, New Jersey when I was 6. I went outside and I barely spoke English. I was learning how to speak English through Scooby-Doo and The Price is Right. So I knew some weird words. I went outside and all the kids, and it's funny to follow Theismann, all the kids outside were playing football, and they asked me, you know, who I was a fan of. I had no idea. My one friend looked at me and said, "You're a Jets fan." I said, "I'm a Jets fan." And since then, I've watched every single play that the New York Jets have had. And thank you, Jet fans. And you know, I will let you know that the tie-in between Joe and I is that Joe played for a professional football team, and in about 26 years, I'm going to buy one. You know, it's kind of funny. When you look like me, you realize around 5th grade that you're more likely to buy a football team than play for one. So that wasn't going to be what I was going to do. Anyway, had a great childhood. Besides playing football with my friends, my entrepreneurial and business career started in Edison. I had 7 lemonade stands when I was 6 years old. So I had a lemonade stand franchise. How many people here remember the big wheels? You remember? Got it? Yeah, those are awesome. I used to drive my big wheels around Edison, New Jersey to pick up my cash like I was Tony Soprano. It's crazy. I learned a lot of business lessons there. There's one kid, Eric Conrad. His parents were divorced. I didn't understand. I was so little. I didn't understand why he would be in our neighborhood in the summer, but not in the winter. He would come every summer. He was a baller. He would make his own signs. He was a hustler. I'm sure he's doing well now. And I learned my first lesson. I would give them all 50 cups. Cups or a quarter. It was easy math. He would steal cash. He would take some. But he sold so much more than everybody else that I never got rid of him. And so it's very funny what you can learn, and I've used that concept, still to this day. So it's funny what you can learn, and where I really started learning business was when I was 12 years old, because when I was 12 years old, I started a massive baseball card business. And I was selling $1,000 to $2,000 a weekend in the malls of New Jersey. And that was tremendous. I had like $10,000 cash under my bed when I was 12. And let me tell you something. When you're 12 and you have 10 G's of cash under your bed and you're not selling weed, you're doing a good job. Very good job. So I was happy about that. That was awesome. And then I turned 14 and my dad ruined my life. He walked in, he said, "You're going to work today." I said, "What? I have a baseball card show." He said, "No, you don't. You don't mess with Russian immigrant dads." I decided I should probably go if I wanted to continue growing. So we went to the liquor store. I cried the whole drive home to the store, cried. Real cry. 14, I'm proud. I cried, devastated. "Dad, how much are you going to pay me?" $2 an hour. I started crying much harder. And I proceeded to spend 10 hours in a basement bagging ice and made $20 for the day. Instead of going to the mall, hanging out with friends and girls and selling baseball cards. Clearly my life had taken a bad turn. And this is what I did for the next 2 years. It was devastating, I hated it, and my life from 14 to 16 professionally was dark. And then some light came in. My dad let me go upstairs. Prior to that, how many people in this room, raise your hands, because I came on my biggest day of the year to be here with you, so don't bullshit me, give me your full hand. Give me your full hand. How many of you have seen the movie Goonies? Raise your hand. Awesome. Do you guys remember that guy Sloth? That's who I was. I was like chained to the basement for 2 years. It was pretty devastating. I finally got upstairs, dusting bottles, all this good stuff, learning, hating, funny. Really, back to my mom, who's the foundation of my life. She looked at me. I have a 20-month-old daughter named Misha. And I think about it every day that I want to roll the way my mom rolled, because she's just unstoppable. I wish she was on stage right now. This is what my mom did. Loved me full pledge, and that's what I'm going to talk about with the Thank You economy from a business standpoint. She loved me so full pledge that on somewhere around my 15th birthday, she called me over. I walked over. She said, "Come here." I said, "Yeah, Mom." She looked at me and she said, "Promise me that you will never drink, smoke, or do drugs." I said, "I promise, Mom," and I executed, and that was it. Like that's how unstoppable she was, and I just think about it every day. It's so funny how much it ties into the way I do business. I finally was able to come upstairs, and I didn't want to drink, right? Because my mom told me not to, so I wasn't interested. All my friends in high school were like, "Dude, hook it up." They want to come over, steal stuff. It's a whole mess, right? I was like, "Jeez." Luckily, it was far away, or I would have had some struggles. And so I was bored. I didn't care about Budweiser or Absolute or any of this stuff, but we had wine. We were Shoppers Discount Liquors back then. But we were near Summits, Short Hills, Livingston, New Jersey, very affluent area, so there was some wine interest. And how many people here from Jersey? Love it. Dirty Jersey, baby. So we had some nice areas, and people came in and asked for wine, and then my life changed. Very special day. About 25 people came in and asked for the same thing. Caymus Special Select 1990 Cabernet Sauvignon. It was the Wine Spectator Wine of the Year. And finally, people coming in, we had sold out of it the prior week because it just got announced. And finally, people coming in, do you have it? No, and they're leaving. And the entrepreneurial DNA is like going off. I'm like, this sucks. This is not good business. I don't like this. We have like 6 parking spots and they're all taken up by people that can't buy something. I'm like, I'm gonna take a backwater. We didn't have a backwater system, but I didn't care because I was going to school on Monday. So, next guy that comes in, I'm getting a backwater. Guy comes in, sir, what's your name? Got his name, address, phone number. How much would you like? I'll take 10 cases. So I'm like, man, this guy's an alcoholic. I was like, are you gonna drink all that? Are you having a party? He goes, no, I collect wine. That was it. At that moment, you know how like when big things happen, I remember the weird t-shirt I was wearing. I was sitting in the middle of the store, my life changed because I sat there and said, because at this point I wanted to help my family business. As any good punk entrepreneur kid, you think everything your dad is doing is wrong, right? And I see all these things that I can fix, but I wasn't interested in the subject matter, right? I was already thinking about what was I gonna do when I converted this whole thing into a baseball card store, right? I'll put the basketball cards where the beer is. So basically, it changed right there. I said, wait a minute. Wayne Gretzky, Frank Thomas, Joe Theismann, Silver Oak, Chateau Latour, Camus, same stuff. I can do this. So literally at that moment, I was like, that's it. I will become the greatest wine retailer of all time. That's what I thought. And that's what I went on to execute. I started learning about wine. No 16-year-old should know as much about the Loire Valley in France as I did. It was super unhealthy. I was one of the worst all-time students ever. Mainly because of the self-esteem my mom gave me. This might have backfired on her. I was so ridiculously confident, and I so knew what was gonna happen, that I realized that high school was the last vacation I was ever gonna have. So I really took full advantage of that. So, I learned about wine. I literally would sit in science class and read the Wall Street Journal and the Wine Spectator. I was a complete anomaly. My teachers really struggled with figuring me out. I was just very confident. I went to school in Boston for college. When I finished, I came down, and in 1998, no, I don't like Boston. They have the Patriots, boo. I came down and I took over operations. While I was a junior in college, I launched WineLibrary.com. I wanted to change my dad's store from Shoppers Discount Liquors to Wine Library, but he wouldn't let me, so I figured I'd register to .com because dad doesn't get it. That's where the world's going and eventually be so important, and that's what we'll be. Win. So we rebranded to WineLibrary.com, and from 1998 to 2005, I grew the business from a $4 to a $45 million business. So I executed, right? Thank you. It was awesome. Don't clap for me, clap for my brother AJ, because I had to buy my own car, but he got a Lexus. Not better. And a basketball court. And I bought an Xbox 2 weeks before it came out. I had to buy my own Sega Genesis. Anyway, it's actually, can I be honest with you guys? I've never told this, actually. I feel comfortable with you already. Do you know why I spoiled my brother AJ? Because he's 11 years younger than me? So that he wouldn't be as hungry as I am, so I could beat him. Is that bad? Is it bad? It is bad. I see. All right. I'm sorry. AJ, I love you if you're watching this. You should see me getting competitive with my 20-month-old daughter. Anyway, so I executed. I was in all these papers. I was the guy. And here's where I feel a real connection to you guys. I built that business in a traditional way. I built that with billboards, with radio, with print, with local TV ads, bus stop ads, benches, those things, right? I did that stuff. That's how I built that business. And then I learned a lot along the way. See, I launched .com in '97, and my lead developer sat next to me. And around 2003, all of a sudden, I could taste things were changing. See, my whole career, I've been able to see where things are going. The reason I'm going to be successful in a big way is strictly based on DNA. I can just taste it. I can literally taste it. I know right now as I stand in front of you that if I wanted to cash in everything and start a business around smart refrigerators that I could make $1 billion, because your refrigerator in 7 years will reorder your products for you. They will scan the barcodes in your refrigerator, they will email or electronically send to the retailer of your choice that you've only got one Pepsi left in your fridge, and it will be in your doorstep. I know that to be fact right now. But it's about execution and timing, isn't it? Right? It's about execution and timing. I don't win in business because I'm rah-rah and I'm funny and I'm dramatically good looking. That is not why I win in business. I win because I have a good sense of timing. I can see where things are going, but I know when they're too soon. For example, I am pumped right now that television is in such a funny spot. TV is so weird. I'm rep by CAA, the biggest agency in Hollywood. They think they're so cool today, right? They're like, see, we read all the articles this fall that Google TV was going to take over, right? We all read those things in some paper. TV was going to be disrupted, and it didn't happen. More TV is watched right now. I went to CAA the other day, and the guy goes, see, they think of me as the punk new wave kid, right? They're like, see, Gary, did you see the stats? More people watched TV in December than ever before. I looked him dead in the face and said, yeah, and guess what? More people bought horses the day before the car was invented. There was more horses purchased for transportation the year before the car was invented. I don't know how many of you have seen somebody walk down the street in a horse. Not many. Innovation's tough to see. It's about timing. TV is not going to be disrupted today, because until you walk into your home and you take your iPad or your cell phone and you hit one button and it starts playing on your television, none of us are going to do all the trinkets and Apple TV and wiring. We're not nerds. We don't know how to do that, but we sure do know how to come in and just take out our phone and hit one button and watch a video. And when it's that easy for Sally, Arkansas, and for Timmy, San Francisco, and Johnny, New York, it's going to be disruptive. It's going to happen. I know it. And so in 1997, when I launched WineLibrary.com, I knew the world was changing. In 2003, I started tasting what people are talking about today. I saw things like Friendster, which was pre-MySpace. I started seeing YouTube in 04, and I'm like, this thing is really interesting, because people like videos. And I could just tell something was happening. This wasn't the internet that I grew up with in 97. And please know one thing, my friends. Please, just because I'm on the younger side conceivably, I did not grow up tech. I didn't have a computer until I was 20 years old. I hate computer nerds. A lot. How many people here, and be honest, I didn't invent it. How many people here think Twitter is stupid? Don't lie, raise your hand. Damn, more than no Joe Theismann. Western Union in 1883 said the telephone was not a viable commercial product. The reason they said that because they didn't want it to be. The reason so many of you raised your hand right now is because you don't understand what Twitter means. And I'm not advocating, and I don't think you're wrong. You know your businesses. I'm not here to preach it. Do you know why everybody thinks Twitter is stupid? Even in my tech field in 06 when I was going bullish on it, and even like the tech nerdies that all talk about it today were like, this is stupid? Because it is of human nature to think about what you're going to say. All of you want to talk. Every business wants to talk. We want to push our message and our agenda. Our phone numbers, our websites, buy my stuff. So when you saw or heard about Twitter first, you said, this is stupid. Why would anybody care that I'm drinking a Coke or eating a pizza? This is dumb. Nobody cares that I'm walking the dog. What I use Twitter for, and why I today have almost 900,000 followers, and I'm in the top 300 people followed on Twitter in the world, yet 6 people raised their hand to know who I was in this room, and nobody knows who I am, and I'm by far the least famous of the people that have that kind of level of followership, is because I knew it wasn't about talking, it's about listening. The thank you economy is about listening. You guys have all been in business and have never had a listening platform. For the last 100 plus years, the only way business had to communicate was by talking. It's not your fault. It's the way the game was. It is not your fault. But guess what? It's about to change. It has already changed for many, and it's about to change for all of you. This reminds me so much of year 2000. You know what happened in year 2000? The internet on the Wall Street collapsed. And you know what happened? Everybody thought the internet was a fad. Let me ask you guys a question. This is the last time I'm going to have a couple questions with hands. I'm paying attention to the edges. Don't think I'm going to get away from you. I'm paying attention to you. How this room said the following thing, please don't lie. I am never getting a Facebook account. Why would I ever need one? That's stupid. Raise your hand now, please. Hi. I want everybody to look around. Look around. Hi. Just curious, of those people who said that to themselves, how many of you have a Facebook account? Raise your hand. How about this doozy? And I think this is good, because usually when I'm in 19-year-old crowds, it's a little harder. This is going to really work, but you're not going to want to raise your hand, but honesty is the only way, or you're going to lose. How many of you said, I am never getting a cell phone 15 years ago? Why would I want anybody to contact me anytime they want? I'm never going to get a cell phone. That's stupid. Raise your hands. Don't lie. Raise them. How many of you do not have a cell phone? Raise your hand. No. No. Does anybody here not have a cell phone?
Okay.
I am very proud of you. You also freak me out. Here's what we do. We're human beings. You know what we all do? We draw huge lines in the sand. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to buy the New York Jets because I know exactly what you're going to do that you say you're not. And that's where the opportunities lie. And let me tell you something right now. If you want to sell something in 2012, you need to be on social media and the web in the way it looks today. Period. End of story. I prefer to take some of the market share. I may jump in. And it's not the only thing you have to do. I respect keeping the pace of the way you've done it. I very much think you don't have to. I think you should, but you don't have to. There's a million ways to skin a cat. And you may not be comfortable, and you should always execute against your DNA. But how many people here are retiring within the next 5 years? 100% retiring in the next 5 years? Raise your hand. Okay? I'm going to be a little less. Some of you are young. What are you guys looking to retire for? Hustling is awesome. Beaches suck, bro. All right, anyway. That I'd be a little less concerned about. But if you're looking to go long term, here are some of the numbers you need to pay attention to. There's more content being produced today in 48 hours than has been produced from the beginning of mankind until 2003. Let's talk about that one more time. From the beginning of mankind, you know, the guy took the club, hit girls, fought dinosaurs. From the beginning of time till 2003, that was like 5 minutes ago, there was this much content produced. Now every 48 hours, that much is produced. No wonder our kids have ADD. Poor guys. What that means, my friends, is one thing. It is going to be difficult to break through. It's going to be difficult to break through, and it is my belief that we're dawning an age where the only thing that's going to break through is quality intent. Actually caring about the end user. And you know why? Because it's scalable for the first time. Let me give you a scenario. Somebody walks into a restaurant in New York City, has an amazing time. She's the biggest yenta on the Upper East Side all time. She has a great time. How many people does she tell 10 years ago? Maybe she calls 10 girlfriends, right? Maybe she has a tea on Park Avenue and can tell 15 people. Maybe she's even hardcore and writes a couple letters. Now, the most awkward introvert who lives in his mom's basement can go home and tell 6,000 with one link. That is a substantial difference. I was never, bless you, darling, I was never going to become the wine guy of America in the way the old world worked, because I was never going to leave my family. I love my family. I wasn't moving to LA to be discovered, so I had to be there. But I sent a stock boy to Best Buy, buy a $300 camera, and started pumping out Wine Library TV every single day. And that's how I built to get on the Conan O'Brien show and Ellen and Nightline, all from Jersey, from my office. Because the world is connected today in a way that is so uncomfortable, it's incredible. And the ecosystem is word of mouth. Think about how much of your business in this industry is done on word of mouth. I just bought a huge co-op in New York City. Why? Word of mouth. You know, it's personal relationships that close the day in every business, especially this industry. And it is inconceivable for me to think that so many people in this room would not want to go into the trenches of a marketer's dream. There's somebody right now. How many people here go to search.twitter.com every single day? Raise your hand. Every day. There are search.twitter.com, then leave a space to whatever word. And what this does is allows you to search words on Twitter. So you could search looking for an apartment, or looking to sell my place, or whatever people say, which is everything, by the way. How many of you that do that every day know that you can hit a space and then put near colon, N-E-A-R colon, and a zip code? Raise your hand. Now that's a lot less. There you go, Donald, good job. That's a lot less. And all of a sudden, in a business that is local and you're looking to sell in a specific area, so now you can search, if you only sell in Beverly Hills, every conversation that is in a 10-mile radius of Beverly Hills. And those conversations have just become extremely more valuable to you. I spent millions of dollars. When I started looking at the data of this company, of the average spend on advertising by an agent, by you guys, it's incredible to me. I got excited. I was like, wait a minute, there's a real opportunity here. People are actually spending money. You can really do something here. 2 years ago, I started a consulting company called Vaynerchuk. We consult, do the social media community management and strategy for PepsiCo, Campbell's, the National Hockey League, Green Mountain Coffee. Real businesses. This isn't about my $60 million small entrepreneurial business. These are multi-billion-dollar Fortune 100 companies. And I don't walk in there and talk to them about this stuff because it's fun or it's interesting. And trust me, they care about the ROI way more than even you do, because I'm asking them for millions of dollars in budget. How many people have heard people ask, what's the ROI of social media? Raise your hand, just curious. Every time somebody asks me that, and that gets asked of me on an everyday basis, what's the ROI of having a Twitter fan? Or, Gary, you want me to spend 10 hours a day on Twitter and Facebook? When am I going to do my real job? What's the ROI? What's the ROI of the thank you economy? I always ask them. So people are like, oh, Gary, what's the ROI of social media? I go, I don't know. What's the ROI of your mother? And I mean that. It's not in a bad way. What is the ROI of your best friend? What's the difference between that friend that really comes through for you and the one that doesn't? There's a lot of things you can't put black and white numbers on, especially when it's early. Remember how many people here laughed at buying Google ads or SEO or whatever else you may be doing today that is a norm in your business. There's plenty of people that didn't want to use Facebook or Twitter. Here's what's happening, my friends. Let me paint you the picture. You are in the people business. So is everybody in the world. People are now talking publicly on the web in a way that we've never seen before. Your ability to mine it with no cost, to look at the data and interact with them, is zero except the time you put into it. Once you create that emotional context, things happen. Wine Library, my business. Let me paint you a picture of what I think the thank you economy is. My business, Wine Library. We're a big wine shop. We've started following all our customers on Facebook and Twitter to get more data on who they are. Yeah, it's Big Brother, but these are things that they share, right? They know people are watching. And so here's what we've done. We took a customer the other day whose last 40 tweets are, I love Jay Cutler, don't be mad at Jay Cutler, he was really hurt. Jay Cutler, will you marry me? He loves Jay Cutler. He's a huge Bears fan, right? We also saw the data shows that he's just ordered 3 times in a short period of time, $10,000 worth of wine. He's a great new customer, right? The Thank You Economy department, right, by Kristen Murphy at Wine Library, she went to eBay and bought a signed Jay Cutler jersey, and we sent it to him in the mail saying, thank you so much for being a new customer of Wine Library. Guys, this is a big deal. I promise you that if Toys R Us years ago would have sent me a Jets helmet signed by Ken O'Brien, I would have never went to KB stores once. You know, Joe talked about the handwritten notes and all this. The reason I stand in front of you today, the reason my companies continue to grow, the reason VaynerMedia in 18 months is a $5 million consulting business well on its way to hundreds of millions of dollars, and we handle some of the biggest brands in the world, is because we understand what's happening very early. And here's what's happening. The ability and the complete opportunity to connect with consumers and turn them into lifetime value consumers is here, and you guys know that. You guys as an industry know that so much better than so many other people. You know, how many people here have sold multiple locations, let's call it 3 or more, off the family tree of some person? So it started with one person and then it trickled. Raise your hand. Of course, because you're good and you're here. Of course. That's why, when I speak at real estate events, it baffles me that so many people haven't grasped onto this, and I know why. Nobody's articulated the value of this. Nobody's painted you why this really matters. Nobody's been able to execute. I looked at some data on the way here. In the last 15 months, 55% of all new homeowners that bought a home were 30 years old or younger. How do you think you're going to talk to them? You think they're going to get pumped for those bench ads or billboards? Because I promise you, when they're in a bus, they're looking down at their iPhone. I hate buying outdoor media now. I buy it because by the way, I'm a huge traditional media fan. That's what makes a lot of the corporate people like me. They think I'm going to come in there and say, I love TV, just do it right. You know, Reebok Hockey did a commercial during the Winter Classic. I was watching it because the NHL was my client, and if it did well, we got a kick or a bonus, so I was praying that everybody in the world was watching this game on New Year's Day. And I was like, please watch the game. Anyway, I'm watching it. They run a commercial with Sidney Crosby. They're playing. The commercial ends and says, if you want to find out who won, go to Facebook.com/Reebok Hockey. In 20 minutes, they had 60,000 new likes, fans on their fan page to see it. They can now market to those 60,000 people for the rest of their lives as long as they're still a fan of that page. Guys, this is about data. How many of you send emails to people? Raise your hand, in bulk form, not one-on-one, as a newsletter or something like that. Raise your hands, please. So if you've been doing it for a while, you know what's happened. Do you guys remember 1998 and 99 and 2000? That stuff worked. It doesn't work as much anymore because we spammed it out. Everybody started sending emails every day because it was converting. My library started off as the weekly email service, then the bi-weekly email service, then the daily email service. And then when I really wanted to push numbers like, hey, we'll see you twice this day. You know, it got crazy. We pushed it too far. We've all been in the push business all these years. What happens now is pull. The New Jersey Nets client, somebody tweets the other day, thinking about buying Knicks or Nets season tickets. What do you guys think? We jumped in right away and said, well, we're kind of biased. We'd love to see you. Guy buys season tickets from the Nets because we responded before the Knicks did. Real money. This happens on a daily basis. It's happening every moment. Our customers, your customers, are in the trenches. I get it. I know it's new and it's very time consuming, but it's a commitment. You've got to reallocate funds. I always say that you have no tweet left behind. I come into companies and say, no tweet left behind. Everybody who tweets has to be responded to. They're like, everybody? I'm like, well, do you like them? They're your customer. They just said your Milano cookies were delicious. What do you want to just look at them with a blank stare? Everyone. They go, well, how are we going to do that? That's not scalable. I have 900,000 fans. I'm one human being. Nobody will do it for me because it's not authentic if my assistant tweets on my behalf, and I'm keeping up with it. You're a multi-billion-dollar company. How about this, jerk-off? Why don't you take 3 commercials, don't do them, that nobody watches, and let's hire 9 people to actually care about your end user. What a concept! How are we going to do this? I don't know, stop throwing cash down the toilet. How are you going to do this? Maybe you don't buy a Yellow Pages ad this year, guys. You don't need it. Promise. You're better off doing smoke signals at the top of the building. It's 2011. You know, it's funny, I'm sitting here, and it's amazing. Isn't it amazing what your brain can do? I'm going through this talk, I'm also thinking, what's my rank on Amazon right now? But what I'm really thinking is, how many people in this room think I'm full of crap and I'm out of my mind, right? Versus how many believe. And I think a lot still, they don't think I'm full of crap, they don't think it's practical, they don't think I understand. You know, it's not your industry, we're different. Everybody does that, whether it's a CPG company, an NFL team, no matter who we consult for, it's always the same story to me. It's, you don't get it, Gary. This is, you know, we're a different business. We have our different dynamics. I do get it. I get it very carefully. We are in the people business, and people have never been more attainable than ever. People used to spend billions of dollars in focus groups, throwing people into rooms and trying to figure out what they thought. In the back room of a mall, and knowing that people were watching them, that is not a natural environment, right? These people are giving you feedback on you every day. If you're not searching your name or your company's name or your branch's name on search.twitter every day, you're nuts. You're absolutely nuts. You're leaving amazing data on the table. This is extremely real. This is happening every day. Zappos, a company that's based here in Las Vegas, sold for $1 billion to Amazon because this stuff is real. You know why? They cared about their end user and they scaled it. They reversed the game. They timed how long people were on the phone, not to be as short as possible, but to be as long as possible. Guys, this industry, more than any industry to me, hands down, should understand the impact and the ROI of social because it is a people business. This is a people industry, it's happening, and when you look at 50% of your incoming customers or your growing base is at an age group where this is where they communicate and when they understand, this is a necessity. And you know what I hate? That I know a lot of people are sitting in this room and saying, yeah, but Gary, I didn't grow up with this. I'm older. I didn't grow up with this. You didn't grow up driving. You figured it out. This is not an age thing. This is a DNA thing. I am so far from Mother Teresa. I'm not here because it's Zen and let's take care of everybody. I want to buy the New York Jets. This is real cash. One thing I didn't tell you because I was embarrassed, my first real business wasn't lemonade stands. My first real business was I would go into people's yards, rip up their flowers, ring the doorbell, and sell them back to them. Great business, by the way. Low overhead, quick turnaround. It's really funny. I wrote a book, right? I mean, I believe in traditional. I think you should do everything you still do. But please, don't close out where it's going. I learned something the other day that killed me about corporate America. One of my corporate clients, we're crushing for them. They're even tying in our community management, what we're doing on Facebook, to the aisle in the supermarket. Like real numbers. Like, because this woman is now a fan of our product, instead of buying the old cereal that she used to buy, she now buys ours, because when she goes in the aisle, the people she talked to on the Facebook page, under our umbrella, and we helped her with a nursery school recommendation, we now have the emotional equity with her. She goes in the aisle, and she doesn't care if the other cereal is 30 cents less. She's buying ours, right? We're getting there. We're getting to where I want to be. 2015 stuff. What happens when you own the emotional equity? The stuff that's coming. We own that. It's here. And then their stock price crashed the other day, right? And you know what happened? They went to tried and true. They walked in and said, let's cut all the social media stuff, right? We need more TV. And I sat there and I said, my God, it's so obvious, because I'm looking at the numbers. They have numbers on TV, what it's supposed to generate in store for the dollars, and the data doesn't match up. You know why the data doesn't match up? Because Nielsen ratings are bull crap. The data doesn't match up, but when it gets tight, and you know this, guys, we all know this. This is why less people were at this convention last year than they are this year. When things get tight, people retreat, right? They go to tried and true. I was sitting there, I was like, my God, this company going to TV now is only going to accelerate their death. I'm like, you don't go to what got you there when it's bad. It's like if Charlie Sheen started doing more coke today. You don't go back to what got you to the bad place. You go in a different direction. This is the moment when you start looking at what's actually working, but here's the problem. And here's what you have that they don't have. And this is what smaller businesses and people-based businesses have that corporate America doesn't have. You're not reporting to the street. You're not giving them quarterly numbers. They're playing a different game. You, my friends, can absolutely run the marathon that building a business is. It's what you've been doing in a lot of ways. You can run the marathon. The way we're going to be building businesses in 2015 to 2025 is the way that our grandparents built businesses in the 1930s. The way the butcher knew you came in, they knew Timmy was your son, and they're going to cut your steak exactly like you want it, is the way it's going. We just lived through the big box era. If you know business, you know it goes up and down. We are going to that place. I know so much about my customer today, it is unbelievable. And if I put the effort and allocate the funds towards executing against it, we're going to win. I spent millions in traditional, hundreds of thousands at best on my personal brand and this new last 5 years of marketing for Wine Library myself, and the returns aren't even close. It's real money. It's real numbers. I'm not joking on theory here. This is real execution. This is happening on a daily basis, and it is the reality. Mobile phones. Guys, who here is related, whether it's a niece or nephew, children, grandchildren, to a 12 to 16-year-old girl? Raise your hand. So you know exactly what I know, which is that she sends 4,000 texts and makes 2 phone calls a month. 2 phone calls. Culture shift. You guys How many people here drive? Raise your hand. So you know what I know, which is we're all scared of driving now because if you look at your fellow driver, they're not looking at the road, they're texting. Crap, you want me to buy billboards? They're not looking at billboards, they're not even looking at the road. Culture shifts. The world is changing, it's changing rapidly, and I am very scared that the people that are dozing off or dismissing me because they don't think they're gonna do it, or they just don't believe in it, they're sitting here now and checking out, looking at their watch, wondering when it's over. I'm very scared that they are the human version of what Blockbuster Video did. Blockbuster Video sat in their rooms, they watched what Netflix was doing, and they disrespected the internet as a fad. When the market collapsed in 2000 to 2002, everybody thought, see, you don't want to admit it now. Some of you thought the internet was a fad. You don't want to admit it, but you did. Because you didn't understand it. You didn't grow with it. Or you didn't know how big it was going to be. This is the biggest disruption and biggest platform of all time. This is the biggest opportunity. I feel bad for entrepreneurs in different generations. We are so lucky to be able to execute this out. Blockbuster sat in that room and said it's not going to happen, and they lost. They got put out of business. Borders had the audacity to think it was so dead that they gave Amazon their infrastructure. If you want to go to Borders.com, Amazon was going to execute your order for you. Guess what? Out of business. The liquor stores that laughed at my dad because he let his son, his 20-year-old son, build this website and nobody was ever going to buy one. People had a touch line, right? You had to go look at it. The connection in the store. Nobody's going to buy groceries. And you have to touch it. Out of business. People are going to go out of business in this next 3 to 5 year window because people are going to take their market share. There was no mobile lead gen real estate leads 3 years ago. You should see what's going on in the mobile market right now. If you are not paying attention, if you don't go home and Google mobile, marketing in real estate, you're making a huge mistake. Because let me tell you a mobile story. I go to the movies. I'm in the movies in New York City. One of the things that I do that's kind of interesting is I snoop on people because I'm trying to understand trends. Now I'm definitely going to go to jail because most of the people I'm looking at are like 13-year-old kids. So I'm a little scared because I want to know what they're doing because that's when it's coming, right? But this one was the most interesting story I could ever tell. I'm in line to go see The Social Network, of course, right? And there's this older gentleman in front of me and he's got an earpiece, so he's talking very loud, so I'm able to snoop even better, so I'm excited. He looks at his wife, we're in line. He looks at his wife and says, honey, what movie do you want to see? She goes, I don't know. He takes out his phone, I'm right behind him, so now I'm starting to get interested because he took out his phone and I'm trying to get a peek. This guy goes on TweetDeck. Now, this guy's between 40 and 80 years old, I'll give a big range, right? He goes on TweetDeck and he types, and I can't see it, but I heard him say, I think he typed something to the degree of, what movie should I see? He sits there for a little bit and then turns and goes, let's see The Social Network. Everybody's saying it's good. The radio industry lived for the last 70 years on advertising in time slots when mom was going to shop. Tide and cereal brands and soda brands would pay a lot of money because mom would go in the car, she would drive, and if she heard that Tide ad, that would get her to buy in the store. Today, and the future mom is going to go into the store, she's going to check in on a check-in device, whether it's Foursquare, Gowalla, or something else, or the store is going to have a mobile deal that's going to text her the second she comes in. To make a decision of purchase at point of purchase is unbelievably powerful. For people to be able to get feedback on all the things that you deal with in the trenches, whether it's how high ceilings should be, or, is something rusted, or can I get a little, the amount of technology that is coming to disrupt your industry. Think about, I know many of you have lived through this, think about how much more educated your end user is today than they were 15 years ago. They're coming in with so much data. Remember all that secret sauce data that you guys used to have, that you used to be able to make lots of margin on? Where'd it go? It changed. And that's what's happening. What's happening is we're living in a people-driven business more than ever. More than ever. And the impact is going to be substantial. I am convinced, whether you like it or not, that everybody here in 5 years will be using these tools and products because you're going to have no choice. You're going to have 00 no choice. Robert Parrish. You're going to have absolutely no choice. Here's why I'm excited. The customer's been screwed for so long. People don't care if they want to convert. right? They want to convert. Word of mouth ecosystem means better customer service. 1998, I email Wine Library's database and say, today we're offering free shipping on winelibrary.com. We were a $4 million business. It is still today the biggest day in sales in Wine Library history, even though we are a $60 million business. People lost their mind. People bought wine that day as if it had the cure inside. Because they'd never seen free shipping before. One guy left a note saying, I'm buying this wine for my daughter's wedding. Thank you so much. Me living in the thank you economy 12 years ago, not realizing I was living in it, decided to email the gentleman and say, thank you so much, congratulations. You know, when's the date? He says, no, Gary, my daughter's 12, but this is a great deal. I mean, how ridiculous is that? He literally bought 12 cases of wine 15 years before he needed it because of free shipping. That's how insane free shipping was in '98, but then it went away. My friends, for the next 5 years, if you go into the trenches of social and you go to one-on-one marketing, which is very hard and scary to everybody, especially big companies, and you start making a contextual relationship with your end user or the person that can give word of mouth to another end user, you will be living through the 5-year gold rush of this system. Eventually, everything I'm telling you here today will be common marketing knowledge and the way that everybody rolls. And when everybody's nice to you, you're not going to treat it as well. You're not going to buy 12 cases of wine. When you tweet looking for a new home and everybody showers you with attention and effort, you won't feel the same way you do today when only 1 or 2 of you in your local area are doing that. This is the golden era of one-on-one marketing because you're going to stand out the way the shipping offer stood out for me in 1998. And if you let it go by, you're going to be playing catch-up. You're not going to be Amazon, you're going to be Borders. That is just the way it's going to be. That is 100%, there's no debating it, the end. Period. Years old, but from a business standpoint, he acts as if he's 797 years old. My first marketing budget, Dad, I need a marketing budget, 150 bucks. So I went scrappy. I've lived this my whole life. I understand why new stuff is scary, but new stuff is how things happen. I'm here today because I taped a video wine show. I'm going to be changing my video wine show. I'm going to be going more mobile because I have to change because that's the platform. Mobile is the platform. Actually, I mean, wow. The fact that you can get push notifications. What happens when the app comes out that you hit one button and if you're in the market for a new home, you're registered. And if they're in your general area, you'll be able to push notify them and tell them, literally while they're going out and getting food, where there's a location of an open house right that minute. These things are happening. These things are happening, they're all coming, and they're going to disrupt your business. And I, for one, am dramatically excited about it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm actually going to stop talking now because I know we have runners, and I want to do Q&A, and I'll be honest with you. I don't want to hear from the people that stand up and raise their hand right now and say, Gary, you're so awesome and tremendously good looking and you're the best. I don't want to hear from that. I know that there's a lot of people here who can't make the connection, who don't think it's practical. I respect them to no end. You've been able to build a successful business for yourself. Let's bring real value to the audience right now. Let's raise some hands. Let me answer real practical questions that will bring value to everybody. Thank you so much for listening. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Sven Anderson.
What's your first name?
Sven Anderson
Sven.
from Winchester, Mass. And
Real pleasure. Are you a Patriots fan?
That's why I turned around and said, "You said that." I'm like, "Oh God, Gary, you had a follower, a friend, and everything."
It was going to happen until that, right?
It was over, man. No, I'm only kidding.
I respect that. I'm not kidding.
One of the things.
Go ahead.
Well, one of the things that actually, I actually read your book and I thought it was awesome.
The first one.
The first one, Crush It.
The one that's nowhere close to as good as this one.
Oh, what the plug?
Just kidding. Go ahead.
Anyway, Crush It was his book, and it was. If you haven't got the book, it's awesome. Crush It. And if you have an iPad, you can get it on the iPad and see his mug on the iPad too. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, one of the things that I did, and just to point about a little point about Gary, I actually sent him a Facebook request, and he was asking about how we would actually use Crush It with the thank you economy, and I gave him a couple ideas, and he actually wrote me a Facebook post back. So to you, my friend, that's what I've changed. So all my business model right now is all about video and leveraging Facebook. So it's changed the way I'm doing business, and thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man. Thanks. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Susan from Olympia, Washington.
Hey,
and
Susan.
My sons your age refer to me as the old school mom who's willing to try anything once.
That's awesome.
Okay, so
Now, real quick, can I change that?
Sure.
I need you to be the old school mom that's willing to try things 3 times.
Okay.
Because I think what's a big mistake for so many here in the audience is, well, we tried this, Gary, right? You tried something. The problem was, I know what you did in social media. You pushed. You said, come to our open house. Do this. Come to me. You were talking. You weren't listening. You weren't giving to your community. You weren't searching and trying to help them. You were using the skill sets that it takes to give a presentation up here. You weren't using the skill set that it takes to be good at a cocktail party. My friends, we are living in cocktail party marketing. Sorry.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so I'm a cocktail mom, and I spend hours and hours, 7 days a week with my clients, personally phoning them, seeing them, touching them in many, many ways.
Love it.
How do I avoid losing myself in the mass of time that I could spend at the end of the day
Sure.
doing all these other things? I'm afraid of it because I'm exhausted.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. So I think let's 2 answers. Let's go real high level. If you're afraid of it because you're exhausted, you need to start at the highest level of what do you want, right? I mean, dollars and cents suck. I mean, I think at some level, everybody understands at some point, and I know it's easy to say, yes, I've got success, but let me tell you something. I was dramatically happier building Wine Library TV 5 years ago because I knew I was sitting on something than I am today, even though I'm bigger and have more money. Dollars and cents don't make you happy. If you're truly exhausted, you really want to look at the scale of what it's worth, and there's practicalities, whether it's college loans, putting kids through college, so I get it. I mean, when you have to do what you have to do, it's going to be hard work no matter what. I'll tell you what's funny. I spent my life on the phone, touching and feeling my consumers too, on the phone all day, buying wine, selling wine, then going out and having dinner with them and tasting wine. I did that. That was my whole career. And then I made the shift to make caring more scalable. I think one-on-one marketing is scalable through social, because when I'm done here, some of you that are on Twitter are going to be like, wow, Gary Vee was really good. I'm going to be back there and I'm going to respond to you. You know, I'm scalable much more than ever. I'm going to be at the Vegas airport and I'm going to be answering people's questions. The reason I can answer that gentleman Sven's Facebook stuff is because I want to, because I can. And guess what? I was never going to Boston, definitely not, to like high-five him and say, thanks man, awesome. And look at the way he felt about me. Rethink the way he said that. There was emotion in the air. Because I responded, our relationship, and now today, I'm fascinated by the ladder of contextual relationships. Sven read my book, he liked me. He posted something, I actually took the time to respond to him, he liked me more. Now he stood up, we razzed each other a little bit, we can really see each other, and I can see I'm still better looking than him, and still, he disagrees, but still, for this moment, forever, because now I'm spending a lot of time on it, we know each other forever. And the cost was much lower than the way I used to have relationships before. This is really, you're gonna see it. It's important, guys. I think you can scale it. And I don't want to hear like, we're losing relationships. Here's the counter argument, right? Oh, it's all happening on the computer. We're all becoming more introverted. We're not teaching people skills. It's the opposite. This is countercultural. Just like when you're in trouble, you go tried and true is when you need to go the other way. That's exactly what this is. I believe everybody's dramatically more in touch with their friends, context, much more social. Sure, they're communicating in a platform that you didn't grow up with, but if you don't think your mom thought it was crazy that you had a second phone line and you talked to your friends for 9 hours on the phone talking about Debbie Gibson and Tiffany, then that was crazy, she did. And if you don't think there was some lady back in the day that said, why do we need a telephone? This doesn't need to, we just write a letter. I mean, you know, and if you think somebody was like, why are we going to watch it on television? We all sit around nicely around the radio. We're not going to be as close to each other. It's going to hurt our family. No, it's not. We are human beings. We have a need to communicate. I think there is an absolute way for you to scale that, for you to email everybody, ask them if they have Facebooks, for you to create a Facebook fan page, for you to communicate with your community there, where you're answering multiple questions. You can go one-on-one on these platforms with a private message if you want, and everything you do becomes scalable. Take it from somebody who's holding up 900,000 relationships right now, and yeah, I'm hyper, and yeah, I'm hungry as heck, but guess what? It's scalable if you want it. I always believe that. My friends are always like, how do you do this? You're so lucky. I'm like, no, you're lucky. You go to the Jersey Shore and hang out with friends, right? You play Nintendo Wii all day. You're on a bowling team and a softball team. I'm bleeding out of my eyeballs. I'm hustling. Business is push-ups. You get what you put into it. Sure, you could have better form. That's what I'm talking about today. I know you guys all work hard. You're here for a reason. This isn't, you're not here to, you might be here to gamble, but you're here, right? You're here in the morning. Bunch of you probably out late last night having a good time in Vegas, right? You made it here because you want to build your business. I know you're all going to hustle. I'm just hoping that you would look at some of the alternative, different ways you could actually do push-ups, because I promise you, when you hit the right form, more things happen. Clearly, I haven't figured that out with muscles, but I definitely figured it out with business. Yep.
Hello, my name is Alex Mathis.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
And a lot of us are here because we want to give you ideas, and I really appreciate what you have to say, but where do we start?
Yeah, no, I agree. You should probably buy 50 copies of my book. I'm kidding. Sorry, let me give you the real answer. It's really kind of interesting. This is the only thing I want you guys to write down for my entire talk. Get ready. I want you to write down this website. www.google.com. Have you heard of it? It's amazing what happens when you type in there, how do I start a video blog? How do I start a blog? How do I use Twitter? The information's out there. I'm telling you, the way you start, and I'm so passionate about this. The way you start is here. Once you make the mental commitment that there's ROI behind it, there's value for you, you'll know what to do. Because you can Google it, and they'll show you how to start your blog. Every person should have a blog, because you should be communicating to the end consumer. You need a place for your content. There's ways to do this. I think you need a Twitter account. I know people think Twitter's stupid, but search.twitter.com is the greatest fishing pond in the world right now. And you can search words that matter to you, like home, in your 10-mile radius, and find people talking. And here's the other thing, and this is why everybody sucks at social media, which is why this isn't called the screw you economy. Everybody gets on Facebook and Twitter and starts pushing. Please don't go to Twitter, see somebody say, thinking about going house hunting this weekend, and jump right in there and say, well, I got this open house. Everybody treats social media like they're a 19-year-old dude. They're all trying to close too fast. You need to relax. You don't need to close in the first 5 minutes. The reason you love your parents so much is because they loved you first. Give to that relationship. When I started using search.twitter and somebody said, looking to drink a Chardonnay, I didn't say, oh, we've got a deal on winelibrary.com, let me give you free shipping. That would look nice. I was giving them something, but that was closing a business deal. I didn't say, oh, I just did an episode on Chardonnay on Wine Library TV 5 episodes ago. I replied, what kind of Chardonnay do you like? And then I would look at their profile, and I would see that they lived in Chicago, and I would give them a recommendation to Binny's in Chicago to show them how little I cared about actually closing a sale. What I wanted is for them and I to have a relationship for the rest of my life. That is the approach business needs to take. Not coupons, not offers, not we're pouring champagne at our open house. Ooh, nobody cares. There's too much being thrown at them. People want real. People want real, and social offers an opportunity for you to be real. If you don't want to be real, you're gonna lose. You're gonna be exposed. If you go real, I call it the Hugh Grant rule. Hugh Grant made a mistake. He picked up a prostitute in Los Angeles. He went on Jay Leno's show, and he said he was sorry. And we all loved him more because of it. Because deep down, we all hate to say, I'm sorry. You can make mistakes. You can give the reins to one of these pages to one of your employees. They can make mistakes, as long as you always take the high road. This is an informational ecosystem that is built on word of mouth, and the currency is your social currency. Your social currency will be the dividing line between you selling more properties or not. You will be building your brand in this place, and the ways that you are going to build your brand in 2011 is not by you getting some sort of glamour shot and getting the biggest billboard in town. It's going to happen because you're going to go into the trenches where real people talk and real people make decisions, and you're going to scale, bleeding out of your eyeballs, being exhausted as hell, and working it, but at least you're exhausted in your bed. And I don't know. I'm up, last night I was like, my book comes out today, right? So last night, I'm like, I know I have to get this talk, I have to wake up early. I'm in my hotel, I'm in Vegas. I'm in my hotel room, I'm like, man, my boys would be real mad at me right now. And I'm just talking to people, thank you for buying my, people like, a lot of people are excited because with the Kindle, it comes right to your book. And as it was going midnight, in every market, people were going on Twitter saying, oh my God, so pumped that I just got the Thank You Economy on my Kindle. Normal business, the way I used to do it 10 years ago, you would have left that. I would have left that and said, okay, got that one. Let me go find more. Naturally, my DNA is a hunter. I want more customers. In the last 5 years, I've become much more of a gatherer and a farmer. Along with my hunting DNA, that's the complete package. You and your organization have to have both. Because what I did last night was not trying to get more people to buy it. I sat all day long on Twitter and Facebook and Tumblr and all these other sites that you're going to need to know about, Quora and Instagram and everywhere. And Yobongo is coming. Get ready. I'm not kidding, actually write down Yobongo. I'm desperately trying to invest in it right now because I want to buy the New York Jets. I'm being transparent. Check this out. You take an app, you check, when you launch the app, it puts you in a room with 15 people you do not know, but they're all in the general area that you're in. So imagine for a local business like yours, maybe when you're sitting there and your open house isn't doing anything, maybe it's nice to go into Yobongo, maybe drag 3 people over to say hey. And if you don't hard sell them, maybe they'll come and hang out. And maybe, just maybe, their niece is looking for a home, not them. Just maybe. The world has changed forever. I didn't do it. The internet did it. I think Al Gore's trying to take credit. This is the calm before the storm. Guys, I'm telling you, this is the calm before the storm. I just got goosebumps. This is exactly what 2000 was for the internet. Exactly. It happened, there was hype, it was too early, like Google TV, people weren't seeing the return, companies went out of business, and then from 2000 to 2004, that's when the real magic happened. I'm telling you, this is the 4-year window for social before the smart but stubborn people figure it out and ruin it. This is your opportunity. I hope with all my heart and soul that this talk started you in the right direction. I love you, Remax.
I think he lacks confidence. What do you think?